Let's get it started. I ain't never seen any of these guys' videos or anything. And I don't know where or what type of content he really does, right? But the lack of nuance in video game discourse, the lack of nuance. Well, it's because there's certain themes that are absolutely put in video games that you're not allowed to criticize, right? And even if these themes are placed in at the detriment of the IP, at the detriment of the player, the consumer, and it makes absolutely no fucking sense. And you try to point this out, you are attacked. And again, these are morally charged themes. So you have people that are of certain ideologies that if you don't either agree with the themes or disagree with others, they'll fucking spurg out at you. And people don't like being in these situations. And again, these are people that shouldn't be online anyway. Like, we're talking people that should, go out and actually talk to people and experience the world and understand that, yeah, there are people that absolutely don't think this way, but online is a completely different football field. Like, online skews and contorts reality in a way that makes you think the majority of people think this way, and there's this rabid majority of trolls and of fucking chuds, when really it's just normal people being like, what the fuck is this? And then it thinks that the Twitterites that will 100% uh, bully VTubers for simply playing a game, they are our audience. And then this is what happens in online spaces. But in reality, people absolutely are able to say what the fuck they want to say. But anyway, that's my synopsis off based off the the I can't fucking think. Like, I'm tired. The Yeah, but anyway, let's give it a watch.
I'm sitting down for a different kind of video today where we're going in raw. It's just going to be me talking
Oh,
to you because I'm really frustrated about where we are in gaming and particularly gaming discourse, and I'm frustrated at how difficult it's become to just talk about video games. Something that I'm really passionate about and something that I know a lot of you are really passionate about, and I enjoy talking about my passion, and I'm sure most of you do too. And there's a lot of bullshit that's happening with video games right now. There's a lot of activists getting into the industry, and I think the reason for that is because the industry is it's so popular, and with that popularity comes attention, and with that attention comes power and opportunity for propaganda and to spread your message and all this other bullshit. You know what I'm talking about, and I know what I'm talking about.
and it's always been this way, right? There's always been those individuals that just seek like they seek stages in order to impose their ideology or impose their ideas or their values, right? And any ideology, anyone of any, like, I wouldn't say aggressive ideology, but any ideology that has stood the test of time seeks to do these things. Now, granted, the whole woke ideology is something that's just sprung out in, I don't know, the past 5, 6, 7 years. Again, this means to artificially erect a completely different culture out of an already existing culture. And it's mainly happening in Western countries, but it also is happening in, like, South America, like any country that's doing, even like South Africa, any country that's doing good you have these leeches that just use ideology, they use things to uplift themselves and the people around them, and they use it as a soapbox to impose, and they seek to impose on others, complete fucking strangers that don't affect them in whatsoever, but it's just something they seek to do.
Um, and so you've seen a lot of people, a lot of us, stand up and call it out. Stand up and say, hey, like, why are you shoving this, like, social activism? Why are you shoving your personal politics? Why are you shoving your morality and your censorship into, like, my video games? Like, this is what I do to get away from the world. I play video games to get away from stress. And so when you see in your game where you're trying, it's escapism. And when you escape to the video game just to have somebody say, hey, how do you feel about pronouns?
Yeah, and they do this knowing that people are absolutely do not want like this, do not care. So they seek you out, they seek out the things you like video games, and they seek out, like communities and discords and all that, and they know that the majority of people, one, don't care, and hell, even some of them just flat out do not want it in their games. They know people play games, play like D&D, play these things to escape these, but they go out of their way to seek out spaces because I'm assuming they got shoved out of every other space they were in, maybe in real life, maybe online, by people who are just like, what the fuck? Like, if you don't get the fuck out of here with that goofy shit. But then they go into spaces that they know, again, most people are normies and just play games, but even the normies are speaking up, like, okay, like in Dragon Age, which is dark fantasy, the fuck I care about someone's gender identity. What the fuck does this have to do with the game? Absolutely nothing. And it disrespects the IP, right? Because it's dark fantasy. And people know that individuals do not care for these things in their fantasy, in their entertainment, but they add it anyway. I mean, these are the same people that probably bullied gamers or probably didn't care to fuck with gamers in high school, right, or middle school, but now they see gaming getting popular, so they enter these spaces, and they still have the same mindset. They hate the IP, they hate the consumer, and but they have the means to morally lecture. Like, these types of people exist, that regardless of what ideology is the hegemon, like which ideology has the moral superiority, like they will use it to impose on people. There's people who just cannot exist in reality unless they're morally imposing on others. Now, and this is a very small fraction, but if you surround yourself with people that think this way, you have to think this way, because if you, for a second, you stop, those same groups of people will attack you. It's like having to live with your mind in a cage, right? Just to protect yourself from the idiots outside, and no one wants to fucking live like that, right?
Are you a bigot? When you have that kind of rhetoric and that kind of messaging, and when you have writers and characters in the game that are clearly propped up on soapboxes, it ruins the immersion, it ruins the escapism, it takes you right out of the video game and it sits you down right into like some Twitter brain rot discourse that I think people are getting sick of. I think people are getting sick of it, and I know that I am. And it was one thing years ago when I saw these kind of interactions and this kind of discourse around video games, and it was only online. It was only on like Facebook, or it was only on Twitter back in the day. But you didn't see it in real life. Like you just saw it on the internet, and you were like, what's wrong with these people? You know?
Yeah, again, and the internet contorts Discord in a way that's like, what the fuck. But again, the people who've completely just grown up on the internet and was kicked out of many other spaces are now entering businesses, well, specifically gaming, entertainment companies. Now you can even say entertainment as a whole, right? And now they're imposing their values on a completely, like, on groups of people who just don't care, right? And they're doing it in a way that makes you care. Like, I care because they want me to care. Unfortunately, I disagree with it. And that's why I identify as non-binary. I will not buy any game that does this to me. I don't care if it's a good game, right? And this is also happening with IPs that have already existed. So it's happening with remakes, remasters. It's happening with prequels, sequels. That's why we're in this situation in entertainment where there's no new IPs. Because one, companies don't take risks. Two, they have these individuals that show odd political things in games that the consumer just simply don't want, they don't care for. It disrespects the IP. And then they use this as, and when anyone gives criticism, they treat it like harassment. Like, this is exactly like we point out the tactic to people, to these types of people. Like, we point out their tactics to them, but they just refuse to acknowledge it.
Um, but now it's gotten to the point where like it's in real life. Like half the time when I go to the GameStop in my town, and I'm looking at games, if Assassin's Creed Shadows comes up, or the new Ghost of Tsushima having a female protagonist, like when this stuff comes up, or like we discuss these games like in a general way, if it comes up for any reason, now I always find myself in a situation where I'm having to discuss these topics with a person face to face, or it's weaving its way into real conversations where I don't really want it. Like I'll be honest with you, like I don't mind it, but I grew up with this mentality that like when when you go to the bar, or when you go out, just in public in general, you leave your politics at home. There's no good that's gonna come from dragging your politics and your activism or whatever into a social setting with a bunch of people that are really just trying to chill out. You know, it
Yeah, with people from all walks of life, right? Regardless of nationality, color, and creed. Like, you will have people with just different mindsets. This is why you tend to avoid. I personally, and I disagree with this, right? I think we should be able to talk about these things casually, but unfortunately, some people are just incapable of understanding viewpoints and people's ideas outside of those that look like them, speak like them, act like them, share their ideology. So, I mean, unfortunately, this makes sense. And, I mean, you could find many criticisms of Assassin's Creed Shadow and Dragon Age outside of just the political bullshit. Like, eventually, when it gets there, you of course talk about it, but it's like, okay, Assassin's Creed Shadow is like the 12th, 13th Assassin's Creed game, right? Yeah, I've tuned out at Black Flag or like Dragon Age. Well, BioWare just hasn't made any decent IPs since Mass Effect. Like, after Mass Effect, they've just, like, there are ways to navigate the discourse to where you kind of fall away from the whole political idea. But I mean, again, and personally, we should be able to talk. Like, they clearly put these things in games for a reason, right? They want the chud to flip out. They like complete strangers. Like, they want to. They smile knowing that, oh, I've injected absolutely nothing of value in this game, and I'm happy. again, things that don't benefit the story, they don't benefit the characters, they don't benefit the IP, but they're happy they inject these things regardless, and they want to spurg out and impose their daddy issues on people who talk about it, right? And to these people, it's like, okay, I have no reason to hold back. I didn't tell them exactly how I feel. But the problem is, you do this on Discord, like online, you'll just get banned, right?
I think like pollutes the sense of community that you feel in public with people when that kind of shit gets brought in. So I grew up with that mentality that you just, you check that shit at the door and then you just enjoy your time with other people. And I'm just seeing that line being erased, it feels like, more and more in real life. And I see like this stuff coming up, and it's like these battle lines are starting to get drawn in real life. It's not just it's not just like brain rot on the internet anymore. It's affecting opportunities. I have people that won't work with me as a YouTuber or a streamer because of opinions that I have about Dragon Age the Veilguard. Because of a tweet I liked about some bullshit with The Last of Us Part 2 or something. And I have people that genuinely are just like, it happens every time I put out a video on Dragon Age the Veilguard. And I'm sorry for like being so like emotional or whatever about this, but I've been feeling this way for a long time, and I've wanted to talk about it for a long time, and I don't have a script, so if I bounce all over the place, I'm sorry, but I'm just so frustrated that we can't just talk about our video games. Every time I put out a video on Dragon Age the Veilguard, I have to deal with this. I'm either not mean enough to the game or I'm not nice enough to the game. It's like the Super Bowl. It's like sports. It's like a competition, and it's two teams. Pick your side. Are you red or are you blue? Put your jersey on, and then you go to war, and all the nuance and all of like the real conversation that could lead to some sort of resolution gets thrown out the window. And then anybody who tries to bring the gray back into the spectrum of the conversation gets called a cuck or gets called a fence sitter or whatever. It's just never enough. You're either never left enough or you're never right enough. If I say something negative about Dragon Age the Veilguard, even if I'm criticizing a game mechanic, somehow I'm like an alt-right grifter that hates LGBT whatever. And then if I praise the game, if I say I see some stuff I really like, maybe it could be good. Like maybe it could overcome some of the things I don't like. Maybe I could end up liking this game. Well, then all of a sudden I'm part of the problem, and I'm supporting the toxic activism in the community that's subverting the quality of the product that we're paying money for. And it's just,
Yeah, and again, uh, you can blame the Bush era for this, right? If you're not for the war, if you're not for this and that, you're a commie. It's throwing morally charged labels on people. And again, you're not doing this to help people. You're doing this for it happens for yourself, right? Like if your tactic is to throw morally charged labels on people, like you're mainly just trying to convince yourself, and it's sad because most normal people just don't think like they try to at least at a baseline meet the person face to face, right? But it's like no, I'm gonna throw this label, I'm gonna shut my brain off, and I'm gonna, I guess, utilize the people around me to attack you, right? And again, with adults, that never, because you'll never change an adult's mind. Like it's really difficult. Like you have to sort of, have them experience the same issues and the same things that you're experiencing to try to really get the point across, right? There's very few people that, and I fail to do this too. I fail to, you know, form my opinion in a way to really, try to analyze it and, in a way that, okay, even if you disagree, you can be like, okay, I understand why that would be annoying, but I try. And again, that's something you have to do regardless of the situation. And if people don't want to associate with you because of an opinion, it's like that's a mentally weak individual. And honestly, maybe even in real life, you probably don't even want to associate with them. And if you have an audience, never take, because obviously some people watch content creators for different ways, right? Like the consensus is to shit on Dragon Age Veilguard, and it makes sense, right? I shit on it, but I do point out things that of the game that are okay. Like it looks clean, but the environments of the game looks fine. You know, the particle effects of the magic looks fine. My problem is it's just window dressing, right? It's like they've completely changed the combat system. And though the environments do look like Dragon Age, it has its form, but none of the substance. Like that's why I don't tend not to completely shit on something. I try to be as objective as possible, but I still just will have my opinion. Like in my opinion, Dragon Age, to its credit, it is not live service, and it's only $60, and it doesn't have microtransactions I've seen. Like yeah, not it does have the 120 something dollar version of it, right? Which is whatever. I mean, that's the new thing. You know, usually to offset the cost of gaming, you would sell merchandise and physical tap. You know, have certain sponsorships with uh, other product projects of the same caliber. This is why you have ReZero and Nikke, right? Goddess of Victory. But I get it. They can't do this. They don't have faith in the IP. They don't have faith in the product. But they try to use the name regardless. But I mean, it's clear Veilguard is. It's just going to keep going down a downward spiral, and it's not successful.
I just feel like when I know that I'm not grifting and I know that I am only making this video or doing this reaction or talking about Dragon Age because I genuinely care about it and all I want to do is just have a discussion about it, the good, the bad, the things I like, the things I don't like, and then have conversations. That's what I miss about YouTube, man. Maybe I'm wrong, you know, because I wasn't really heavy on YouTube until about like 8 years ago. But I feel like there was a time when somebody would post a video and it would like provoke conversation. And then when you would go into the comments, you would see people having conversations about the topic and it would be interesting to read. And now that's fucking gone. We're losing it. And I feel like that was a really important part of YouTube, and I feel like we're fucking losing it. I like when I see Luke Stevens or Asmongold or anybody post a video about, you know, a video game, anything, the least controversial topic, it doesn't matter. You go down there and it's just the comments are just bots, and then and then like just the most toxic. It's Twitter now. The YouTube comments are looking more and more like Twitter. It's OnlyFans promotion and bots, and then just the most toxic, brain dead fucking people. And then the worst opinions a lot of the time, not all the time. Maybe I'm overly focusing on the negative, but a lot of the time it's like the most brain dead ass comments get liked or upvoted or whatever the most, and it just makes me feel fucking insane. Now that's probably because normal people they don't really comment that much on YouTube videos. They might like it, they might give it a like or a dislike, they move on, and then as a creator, I get the analytics, I see the retention, and then I can get an idea of what like actual people think. But I don't know, man. I'm frustrated with how hard it is to just have simple conversations. Like everything is so controversial, even if it's not. Even
Yeah, and again, for some reason, people nowadays are just trained to act like this. Like, no one wants a conversation, no one wants to think critically about these things. But all anyone wants to do is spurg out and impose the daddy issues and act like it's the end of the fucking world. And again, this is how internet, like on the internet, people are trained to act this way. Because again, it's because of that distortion. Like the internet used to be this desalination of information, but now it's just people spurging the fuck out. And you have these things because you have like terms of service. You have people that will just ban anyone that disagrees with them, right? You have moderation, right, within YouTubers, but the site itself, and for like basic bitch things, it's fine. But again, on Twitch, like if you had even slightly right wing opinions, they'd ban you. Like what happened with Asmongold. He just straight up said he disagreed with, certain cultures and the treatment of women in LGBT, right? And they banned him for 2 weeks. Well, I don't think it was a ban. Well, I think it was a ban. But yeah, I mean, there are this way because there are just things you are not allowed to talk about, because if you do, people will go after you. Like people are trained to act like just unhinged children, and the tactic works, right? Like it worked in Gamergate, but again, Gamergate was more of the ethics, but it worked in the Hogwarts Legacy situation where certain VTube agencies absolutely forbade, VTubers from playing the game, which makes no fucking sense. Like, they should be able to play whatever the fuck they want. It's that way because you have the unhinged individuals whose entire lives revolve around just bringing together other people that think like them and going after advertisers, going to the site itself, mass reporting and banning the individual. And because of this, you do have these things. You do have, the bots is one situation, but again, you just have brain dead takes because people have just been radicalized nowadays.
Even if it's objectively not controversial, like if you have a character, like I think there's a line in the new Dragon Age the Veilguard where the Kunari character is saying like, you know what, I don't want to be called she anymore, I'm a they now or whatever, and it feels so fucking out of place. Now I haven't played the game yet. I'm still planning to play the game. I want to see how good or bad it really is. After covering it, I feel like I got to get my hands on it and I got to make up my own mind. That's what I want. Now, I've shared my impressions. I'm not holding back or pulling punches with how I feel about what I'm seeing, but I am willing to play the game and then really know. You know what I'm saying? But when I see lines of dialogue, and I'm sure you've seen if you follow Dragon Age the Veilguard, I'm sure, because there's been like a million fucking videos on it in the past 24 hours, I'm sure you've seen the clip I'm talking about, and I'm looking at it as a fan of the franchise and as a gamer, and I'm looking at it and I'm just like, this fucking does not belong. Like, what is this writing? This is like some weird self-insert shit to me. That's what it looks like. I could be wrong, not having the full context. I'm gonna try and go and get it. If I can get through the game, I'm gonna go get it. But just where I'm sitting right now, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this shit does not belong in the game. Why is it here?
Yeah, to be fair, it is bad. Like, the way it was structured is someone who's, wanted to say a thing in school, but because they're weak, they think about it in their head like overnight, and they stay up at night thinking about, the comebacks that they would have said. And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to put this comeback in this video game now, all these years later, and pray that the people, and even not only the people that were mean to me, but everyone else see because I have fucking the main character syndrome, right? And you see that with most people of the ideology, like they want to inject themselves into art and entertainment, and self inserts are cringe. Like you see this with the new, it's not really Scooby Doo, it's Velma. Like the person, the lead writer, just it's a self insert. Like they're very narcissistic. They're very self centered people, and they're trained to act that way by the people around them and by the ideology. And again, it disrespects the IP, right? And it disrespects your time and the money you spend because you spent money to get to turn away from, politics, social stigma, and all that. But then they seek it out and they inject themselves, they inject their opinions, they inject their ideas in places where people just don't care, right? It has absolutely nothing to do with the IP.
Like what? Like the reason why, and then of course when I point that out, I'm a bigot or I'm one of them, and all these other weird ass fucking comments that I read. The reason why stuff like this has become such a talking point. You saw it around Concord. You saw it around, what was that game, Dustborn. You see it around Dragon Age: The Veilguard with like social activism and stuff like that being put in the game. A lot of like gay and trans issues and minority issues or whatever term, right, is put in the game, and it becomes kind of a focus in the game. The reason why it's such a talking point for people like me, and I think a lot of people, is because more often than not, it seems like when these themes are put into games and explored in games, it comes at the expense of the quality of the game that I'm paying my fucking hard-earned money for. That's the only reason. Like, it's only because it seems like there's a direct relation between developers that choose to focus on this and then shitty quality, bad writing, like unintuitive mechanics. It's just like, if you want to explore sexuality and mature themes and political this and social that, if you want to explore those themes in your game, I don't have a problem with that. If you want to have a gay character, you can have the whole cast fucking gay, bro. I don't give a shit. I will still play the game if it's good. If it's good, all I worry about is the quality. That's all I care about. And when I see this stuff in games, I wonder to myself, because I've seen it, there's been so many examples back to back to back to back to back for multiple years now. When I see it, I wonder to myself, did you focus on this so much that you neglected the things that really matter about making the game good? And when you put these themes, these mature themes, they're complex themes, these are complex topics, and you're putting them in your game, if you're going to do that, it has to be done with a certain degree of like reverence for the topic, respect for the topic that you're exploring, a certain amount of talent. You have to have real talent to write about these themes and insert these themes into your game and do it well and do it in a respectful way that doesn't like negatively affect the game, and that like one of the
And yeah, they could also just make another new game. And this is a problem I've seen, right? They're trying to inject these things into already established IPs, and it changes the lore, it changes the character, it changes everything. And again, it's not done with respect. And you see these things, and it's like, but you see the product itself will just be a bad product. But above being a bad product, they inject these things into the game, knowing that people aren't going to care. It's people that's trying to impose daddy issues on complete fucking strangers. And I think that does immeasurable damage to the ideology itself, because the ideology is just wearing IPs as a skin suit. Instead of just coming out and telling you, it's being subversive about it. And people can spot quality in the lack thereof in entertainment and in games. Like, it's one thing to just not like topics, it's another to know if the quality is bad and the story is bad, just bad, based off, again, how they do it, based off if it's given a level of reverence, or some cases, like Dragon Age, there's absolutely no reason why we'd be talking about gender identity. Why the fuck do we care when the goddamn demons threaten to kill everybody and all the world? Why do we fucking care about gender identity? Like, those are things that are from character to character, but they try to inject this into the story, and it's like, the fuck is this goofy ass shit, right? And yeah, that's definitely what I want to see in my dark fantasy.
The biggest issues that I have about it is that it feels like they the people that insert this into the game, they assume we're fucking stupid. And they feel like when they write these characters and when they put this in games and trailers and stuff, they have to get up on a soapbox and like talk down to you like trans people should be treated with respect. Like they have to fucking scream it in your face because you're too stupid to understand it otherwise. It's not subtle at all. They make no attempt a lot of times to actually fit it into the game, to actually insert it into the game in a way that makes sense and is cohesive and is like good. Like it's like genuinely good. Like Parvati, you look at her in the Outer Worlds. She was done so well. I think she was an asexual character. She's like one of your party members, and she develops kind of a crush on another girl or whatever, and you're trying to wingman for her. You're giving her advice on how to talk to this other girl that she has a crush on, and you're giving her advice on like how to deal with like her, being asexual and stuff. And it's just written so well, and she's such a likable character, and she brings.
Yeah, it's not just that. Like, if you don't care for that storytelling of her, it doesn't try to sidewind you and be like, oh hey, guess what? I'm asexual, or oh hey, now we need to force you into this asexual fucking side story that you didn't ask for, right? It's like, if you cared to establish that relationship with that character, and there's other characters too, right? She's not the only one. If you care to do that, you get that part of the story. If you don't care, then you just don't have to worry about it, right? You just go on about the game as normal. And I think that's also what people have a problem with, right? The fact that it is injected, it is forced in front of you, and you can't escape. And it's also the fact that it's there to begin. Again, sometimes there's just no reason for it to be there to begin with, but if it has to be, yeah, if it has to be, people would rather it be done with respect to the topic, with respect to the gamer and to the IP, not made a focal point, not shoved in your face, not patronizing, it's not acted like you're speaking to the HR lady or some gender studies professor, right? Because no one wants to fucking deal with that in their games.
Brings more to the table than just like her sexual identity. She's a fleshed out character that's likable and you're rooting for her. And when the romance works out, you're like, as a player, I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. So it's like, I don't mind any of this stuff, like DEI and, the main character's black or gay or what. I don't give a shit, or a woman. I don't care. I don't care. I was upset about Ghost of Yotai, and then I had to deal with some backlash over that. But it was only because I wasn't ready to say goodbye to Jin. I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna like fuck, it just hit me out of nowhere. I thought there was gonna be another like story with Jin Sakai, and then we got a new character. It didn't matter that the new character was a woman. It just wasn't Jin, and I was like, oh fuck, like I wasn't ready to say goodbye. I loved Ghost of Tsushima so much. Like I have such a genuine like love for that game. I just think they did so many things so well in it, and the story was brilliant. And it's like, fuck, but I'm fine with the new game and I'm excited to play it. But then immediately, the conversation is no longer about how good Ghost of Tsushima was. The conversation's not about how likable and well written Jin Sakai was, or curiosities about what this new story's gonna be and who this new character is. I'm not seeing any of like this genuine like really good, interesting conversation that I can interact with on social media or any of this shit. It's just immediately like bigotry, sexism, gamer chuds, and incels mad that they're not getting another male protagonist. It's just this.
And to be fair, right, you will always have those people that like they see things, they see trigger words, and they see triggers. And okay, if you ever contradict a female character, there'll always be that one person with the protagonist mindset that'll just scream sexism, and like you can just feel the spit coming out their mouth when they say it. Like there'll always be those types of people, right? But in 2006, the majority of the people on those sites would be like, "I okay, retard, whatever, idiot, cool." So anyway, but now it's like it's just someone having just a basic opinion, and obviously in these communities, right? Like the official 40K community, apparently they want to know who the fuck you voted for, and they ban anyone who disagrees with the ideology. They inject people that do agree with them, so it makes you think that the majority of people are just these ideological driven individuals when that's not the case. All the normal people have either moved the fuck out or were banned, and now they're on the unofficial communities, while in the official communities you have the odd ideological individuals, and that's what's happening at least on the online discourse, right? It used to be normal people that's like, okay, brother, to the person that's screaming sexism, it was like, okay, brother, shut the fuck up. We're talking about our video games. You go over there. And enough people went over there, and I guess they've festered, and now they're coming back into these communities thinking like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm all into Warhammer 40K, but then they just ban everyone that has just slightly like even people that just want to enjoy the IP, right? They'll be like, oh, so why do you like this imperial race? They're fascists, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, why would we even use the same words and definitions in in Warhammer 40K than we do today? Like that doesn't even the word fascist doesn't even make any sense. Like we're fighting a war of survival here, and then they ban you, and it's like, oh, I see what's happening.
Same grifting bullshit, and I'm just so fucking tired of it. And it becomes so difficult for me because these fucking algorithms reward it so much. Like I know if I went like harder, if I leaned into it more with like titles and thumbnails, and I know that if I went if I chose like a harder angle from the left or a harder angle from the right when I discuss these topics, I will be rewarded with like views and subs, and I want that. I want that. I've been making content for 4 years. I'm only at 8,000 subs. Like I on my streaming channel. Oh, this is a new channel that I just started, so it's it's still a baby channel at like 500 subs. But I would like growth. I would like views. I would just like the opportunity for my video to be seen, and then people can reject it or accept it, like it, dislike it. I just want to be out there and a part of the conversation, but I don't want to have to do that to get there. But these algorithms reward it, and I feel like honestly, to a degree, we reward it. And I do think that there's a certain amount of like self-reflection we have to do. This grifting has to fucking go. Like I don't know if it's even possible to get rid of it, but we have to stop rewarding grifting so much, giving grifters so much fucking attention.
Well, I'm making this video after, the election and the results. I think it's going to go away. Again, these things were injected. Well, there's a lot of reasons, right? But I think most of it was the culture at the time. They wanted to suck up government subsidies. They wanted to suck up, ESG money. They wanted to suck up the type of money you get for spreading the culture of, what American culture at the time. But now they might see, the government being like, wait, what the fuck did you put in this game? What does this have to do with the game? And I think you'll see it go away. It might not go away completely, right? But as we've seen with Sweet Baby, and there's other consultant companies, right? But with Sweet Baby, you know, it's out in the open. Like they can't even hide from the normie anymore. I think it's going down. I think, and we have a pretty stacked list of games coming out on the 20th. I'm gonna play Stalker 2. Hopefully, I can finish Forgive Me Father 2 by then. But if not, I guess I'll be playing both. But yeah, I think these things are going away because at the end of the day, companies only really have the power to meet the consumer's expectations, and if they refuse to do that, you know, maybe they're Disney and they can suffer loss after loss after loss, or most Hollywood movies that can suffer loss after loss after loss. But it's like if they know they're losing, if you know they're losing, they know you know they're losing, you know that they know that you know that they're losing. You know, there has to be a change somewhere. And again, there's competition on the other sides of the planet. Like there's West Eastern entertainment. Like you're not forced to consume one type of entertainment. And even in the indie, I lost my train of thought. Even in the indie area, you have good games. Like you're not forced to deal with AAA gaming bullshit and their means to mass produce art. You can actually just find better art.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I have seen somebody put out an inflammatory video, just exploiting a topic like the female protagonist with Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotai, or the stuff with Concord. Like, you can tell. I don't know how easily it is. I don't know how easy it is for other people to tell, but when I look at it, I can tell who's trying to have a genuine conversation about what's going on with the game, why this works, why this doesn't, like, the mistakes that were made, maybe how it could be rectified. I can tell the difference between that and somebody that's, just going up there and making their video to either shit on it blindly and in an incendiary way, just lobbing insults at people that like the game, lobbing insults directly at the director, personal insults at the writer, naming them and shit like this. It's like you're only making it worse, and you're doing it intentionally for fucking revenue, for ad revenue and growth. And
And, and I don't have a problem with people chasing the trends. But again, everyone knows when it's being done. Everyone knows when there's an ideology. Everyone knows when it's a trend chaser. I do have a problem when they act like they are not, but they're clearly are. Like they'll tell you, no, I'm not, but they clearly are, and then they'll ban you. Like that's what I have a problem with. You know, just buck the fuck up and be like, yeah, I hate this game. I don't care for it. And even if the trend is to shit on it, I guess I'm chasing that. Or be like, okay, I like the game. Like, I don't care. Like, I press escape, escape, escape. I have it all on mute. I don't have to worry about all that bullshit, and I just like the game, right? I guess everyone wants to be the new Angry Joe, but I mean, Angry Joe is a brand in and of himself, and only he can fill those shoes. No one else can. And I think, in my personal opinion, if you like Dragon Age Veilguard, like I don't care. It's like if you like the game, cool. I mean, I'll tell you the two things that I liked about it, but if you genuinely like it, again, it doesn't affect me in any one way, shape, or form. I mean, I don't care to argue people's opinions. I think that's just a waste of time. Now, I'll tell you why I don't like it and why I'm not buying it, but I will not attack people for just liking the game. Like, what are we going to achieve? Okay, I change his mind. Okay, what then? Like, am I supposed to feel good for changing someone who just genuinely liked the game, enjoyed the game, to not have liking the game? Like, what do I gain from that? Right?
Maybe I just don't understand the game. Maybe I'm just not built for this or whatever the fuck, but I am so sick of it. And I just feel like we've got to stop rewarding those motherfuckers. We've got to stop. Like, when we see that behavior, we have to start rejecting grifters and start clicking on videos and supporting creators that are at least trying to have a real fucking conversation. And I do think that a lot of people feel the same way I do, and a lot of people are starting to express these same sentiments. So I just wanted to make this video and tell you how I've been feeling and what I've been going through. And I'm sorry that it's like I'm sorry that I've got like this crazy crackhead energy, and I'm sorry that I'm like bouncing all over the place and rambling. I didn't write down any bullet points or anything. I just felt like I had this elephant sitting on my shoulder just weighing me down, man, and it's stressing me out. And all I want to do is just talk about games, that I love. And the only reason I give attention to negative things, the only reason I give attention to negative things like Concord or fucking, Dragon Age the Veil Guard, and I'm not perfect. I know that there's definitely been videos I've made where I leaned into grifting, and then I would watch my video back later. I'd revisit it, or I'd read the comments, and I would think to myself, like, damn, I wish I would have worded that differently. Like, I feel like I hurt my own video by going so hard on that one particular topic, or, I wish I would have discussed it with a little bit more nuance or whatever. Like, there's definitely things that I need to do as a creator to improve, and I'm working on that, right? But there's just a difference between creators that are going through that process and trying to grow and get better, and creators that are just out here pouring gas on fire because it makes them money, and I'm fucking sick of it. The only reason I even give any attention to like the negative stuff is because it's genuinely affecting our products. It's affecting IPs that we love. It's affecting the quality of our games. So it does have to be called out. It should be discussed. I'm not trying to discourage that, but I just think there's a line, and maybe it's like a razor's edge. Maybe it's really hard to walk that line. I think for me it has been, but we just got to do better, and we got to reward people that do better, and we got to stop rewarding people that are making no effort to have a nuanced conversation about this stuff, because they're winning and I think that we're all losing, and it sucks. But if you enjoyed this conversation, I hope you'll leave a comment. I hope that you'll consider subscribing. I stream on Rex Sterling Live on YouTube and Rex Sterling on Twitch, and I post my videos here on Rex Sterling TV. I hope I'll see you again, and thank you for listening.
Nope, shit, fuck, no, cock, tits. Yeah, this is a good video. And boop.
I'm sitting down.
Yeah, and we should be like, to an extent. So I understand why people just want someone to just shit on, say, Assassin's Creed Shadow. I mean, the company itself, like, has done everything in its power to erode the goodwill, and maybe some people just want to watch someone shit on it. And I mean, I agree we should be able to have a normal adult conversation about these trends and about these topics and about these ideas of using or injecting ideology into games in front of people that don't care, and being like, okay, so why is the game being contorted to fit a small fringe ideology? Like, I think we should just have these discussions. Holy shit. Legendary drops. People want an ally, not an opinion. As a creator, one of my first tenets before starting was just to be myself. Say what I am thinking and never be afraid of touching subjects because of perceived backlash. I get all the same comments, and they only grow more frequent and louder, And more you grow, grifters, fence sitters, racists, enlightened centrist bigots, woke fascists, many throw labels because they just want to hear someone who affirms their position, not someone who challenges it or strives for balance. Fuck them, be yourself, and call out the bullshit. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just take the thoughts in your brain and put them into words and throw them out there. Don't overthink, right? A lot of things. Just oh shit, I'm watching. I'm looking. I'm probably gonna discuss that. Just say what you want to say, and people can tell grifting. People can tell authenticity. Yeah, you don't need to try to do this. People can just tell. Just saw admin cover your video. I feel where you're coming from, and hope we see some positive changes in the future. Keep at it, man. That's a whole fucking novel. Authentic, real nuance. Thank you. I agree with almost everything you said. A breath of fresh air to see someone voicing concerns and all still maintaining a positive and fair attitude. It's about time for the community to put down the keyboard and return to the focus to the games themselves, which is what made the industry bloom in the first place. Yeah, I mean, again, when things become popular, you have idiots, but we just need to continue to do these things. Very good take. Lately, it's getting harder to find a good game without any political agenda stuff. Hope this stuff will calm down soon. Stay strong, and thanks for highlighting all of this. Yeah, again, you have to look outside of like AAA games because again, the point is to mass produce a product, secure ESG money, secure DEI funds, secure tax breaks with them. So if you want quality products, it's a shame, but you gotta look elsewhere. The average gamers are fatigued by this stuff too. You're definitely not alone. It feels like there's no room let to just play and explore freely without an agenda being pushed. Maybe they think if they box us in enough, we'll eventually just accept whatever they give us. It's starting to feel claustrophobic, like we're being nudged into some narrow idea of what they want us to be. Yeah, I mean, this is how most people, because it's most people just want everyone to think the same way they do, act the same way they do, have the same opinions, because it makes them feel comfortable. But people in real life just don't fucking care for that. Like, people will voice their opinions regardless of the situation, and you can silence them. You can try to shut them the fuck up. But again, I'm coming from, I guess it would be the future, and with the candidate that won the presidency, you might see a little less of this. Always speak truth, Rex. We're living in delusional circus with insane clown posse. Oh, God. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. I like the video. Peace.